Welcome back to round 4 of our tournament series. This is the last one, I believe, for my bracket because it turned out to be a 5-man prelims bracket. This team, I actually ended up fighting later on in the next one because I did end up placing enough to get to the champions one. The Magnezone, I don't think I learned until game 2 was choice specs, but I'll just let you guys know that right now that it's definitely a choice specs Magnezone, and it's fucking terrifying to deal with. So, what else do I have going on? Let me see. Alakazam's Mega. Alakazam is his Mega. He definitely had two options here between Alakazam and Gyarados. Alakazam was definitely one of the better choices. It just made the theme of his team just to be hyper offense, like hyper super fast offense. It went in well with there, and I was like, well, shit, I'm not sure how I deal with this because I've got fast dudes, but he's got faster dudes. So, my win condition here is probably, I'm going to start by saying it right now, Manectric. So, I'm actually going to go ahead and Mega on the first turn because it's the best opportunity I have to do it. If he wants to go for a U-turn, it's going to be Intimidated. If he wants to go for a Brave Bird, it's going to be Intimidated. The worst thing he could do in this situation is maybe like Choice Band, Cross Poison, or like Specs Heat Wave is something completely random. Maybe even a Specs Sludge Wave if they get that. I don't even know. But he went for the one that I was definitely expecting, which was just the regular U-turn. But thankfully, because of the move order that happens here, because I turn out to be slower than him before I Mega Evolve, I'm actually able to Volt Switch after he U-turns out to something, which puts a big dent in his Typhlosion. This is probably just your normal Choice Scarf or Eruption kind of thing. So I figure I'll just go into my Assault Vest Azumarill here and just be able to take a hit from this thing fairly well. What do I knock off? I don't even remember. But knock off is all I really needed. I thought it was going to force a switch there, but he just figured he'd stay in and go for the extra sensor there. While I don't really agree with that play, just because if I got rocks up, he could have switched it out, switched back in, and bam, he would have had a Blaze Range Fire Blasting Typhlosion instead. But hey, I learned its Choice Scarf, which is good knowledge for the next game. Right here, he does reveal that he does have Taunt. I'm not too bothered by it in the first place. I was just going to go ahead and get out anyway. My best choices here are either Blastoise, just to try to burn this thing, Arcanine just for another free Intimidate, or Manectric for another Intimidate. I want to keep Manectric at a good amount of HP though, so it's literally between Arcanine and Blastoise. I don't really mind too much regardless, but if he does go out to a setup sweeper and he taunts me and then he U-turns out and he starts setting up, I have no way to roar it out, so I'd much rather go into something that can actually have a favorable matchup against Crobat and as well as anything else that decides to switch in. So right here I thought he was going to go for a Fake Out, which is why I decided to go for an Extreme... Actually, no, I didn't go for that. I don't know why I went for Extreme Speed, truthfully. I could have gone for something else. I guess I just got my priorities goofed up in the moment where I was like, oh, you know what, Extreme Speed's faster than Fake Out. No, it's not. Yeah, it's definitely not. I don't know why I spaced on it even now. Like, it's definitely not faster than Fake Out. It's faster than Brave Bird, which is nice. I didn't run into a single Talonflame though, because there's not a lot of NPCs / any NPCs that have them, if I'm not mistaken. Or if there is somebody that has one, it's not a very good NPC lineup in general. So Crobat decides to Brave Bird me. I do have a Rocky Helmet on this thing because there is Item Clause, so I just went with that. So he's got Brave Bird Recoil, Iron Barbs, and Rocky Helmet Recoil, and that's like half just from going for Brave Bird on this thing, which is pretty awesome. I'm not going to argue that. It's going to be a nice solid switch into this thing, and then it just turns out that he just hard switches out into Magnezone immediately. I actually want my Stealth Rocks up more than anything else, just because if the Gyarados, I didn't know at this point what was this Mega. It was either going to be, you know, Sash Zam, or it was going to be just regular DD Gyarados. Both are pretty damn good options, I'm not going to lie. I would have leaned a little bit more towards Gyarados, but that's just a personal preference, so it's not that big a deal. Right here, I noticed he went for HP Fire, and I was like, you know what, I'll just go into Arcanine. I was free to pick whatever move I wanted to here, so I don't know why I ended up going for the Flare Blitz like I did. Stealth Rocks does help, but honestly, Wild Charge would have been the better play here, because then I could have just one-shot it. But my stupidity is actually rewarded by a Flare Blitz burn. Not that this really ended up mattering too much in the long run. I say this because in the next 3 turns, I do have a max fully physically defensive Blastoise that I can just go out to, which doesn't really get a shit about an Earthquake, you know, either from a regular Gyarados, or regular Mega Gyarados, or just the burned one, you know. Blastoise is just there to take the hits, you know. Earthquake, Waterfall. If he wants to set up, I can roar it out. I had a full health solid switch into this thing, so at the end of the day, the burn didn't really matter that much in my book, or his for that matter. The main thing is now that he's at like 25% HP, he's got to go for something here, because if he switches it out and switches back in, it's basically just death fodder. So, I mean, he could keep it as death fodder. I'm not sure what his thought process is there, but I guess he just decides to go for waterfall right here. Not the better of the two there. I guess maybe going for flinches. He was honestly just waiting for me to kill him off, and I think that's cool too. So we're honestly just kind of riding out this period of the game, and I completely forget what happens here, because this is honestly just kind of slow. There's a lot of after turn effects in a lot of these games. I think there was one coming up in the championships bracket that there was like something burned and something leech seeded at the same time, and I think there was even sandstorm in one of my games. It's like, what the hell is that about? So right here, last it's Ice Fang to try to go for a flinch or a freeze. I'm actually gonna roar him out. Now, I do this just so I can get Stealth Rock's damage on something else, and I know the instant it comes in, it's dead, so I might as well. It was just a very impulsive decision that I knew he wanted me to kill him, so he was just not going to switch out on his own accord. And I was like, hey, you know what, if he gets death fodder, he gets death fodder, it's whatever. But there's a dead poke in the back, and it ultimately will give him a free switch to something else. I hadn't revealed Ice Beam at this point either. I kept going for Scald intentionally. I could have gone for Ice Beam on Gyarados, but I figured I was in it for the long haul with Scald just to not reveal the fact that I had it, which gets me a free kill on Crobat. Not that it's really that valuable at this point in the game, but you know what? Anything helps. So Magnezone's going to come back in, take some rocks damage, and the way I see it, I'm just going to go for a Scald right now because I don't want to predict incorrectly, and I would rather try to get a burn. But it turns out that I can actually live that from full, and I lost track of when I got back up to full, probably in that tuffle against the burn Gyarados there. But you know what? He comes back in, and he just uses switch fodder now to just ultimately get another a free switch to something else. So that's fine by me, I guess. I have this thing, which I'm honestly just going to fodder off at the end of the turn anyways, and then Magnezone comes back in. I think did he Volt Switch again on this one? I don't know. He's taking more rocks damage. That's cool, and then he gets to take another Scald. This is Torrent boosted this time, and that helps out a lot. So he just T-bolts me. Now puts Magnezone where even a resisted hit can take it out. So something good to keep in mind as I switch in my next thing, which I actually believe to be Arcanine, and I could have just gone for anything else, to be honest. But I think I just ended up going just for a Flare Blitz, not to over-predict or anything of the sort. Close Combat would have given me a drop, Wild Charge would have given me recoil, Flare Blitz would have given me recoil, Wild Charge probably wouldn't have killed, and E-Speed I don't think would have killed from that range, because this is actually Expert Belt Arcanine. If there was no Item Clause, I would be running Life Orb, but the Life Orb is on my Gengar, and as we can see, that Life Orb puts in work. So he uses his Mega Alakazam's Trace very well in both of the games that we ended up playing. You're going to see the first one now, which is actually the Intimidate. Lets him take this E-Speed a lot better than he normally would have, because look at that like shoulder to waist ratio. If you E-Speed his chest, he is dead. That's why he's got his beard protecting you from 3 sides. But E-Speed's going to do some damage. As far as I'm concerned, he's still in the green, so that was not great. I was pretty intent on foddering this thing off anyways, but thankfully I did take very good care of my Mega Manectric. It's still in the back, and I'm pretty sure I should be able to take it out with just a regular stock T-Bolt. And I believe this is his last, if I'm not mistaken. So, played him into a corner with this thing, and as long as I kept my Manectric alive, it was basically going to be game at that point. And I don't think a stock T-Bolt would have taken it out, which is why any bit of priority helped. I'm not sure if I lost my Azumarill in there, but if I did get taken out before I could E-Speed, I did still have an Aqua Jet from that. And then I basically could have just gone from there with Manectric. So that worked out pretty well. I got 1 game for this one, and then we actually move on to the next series of matches, which are infinitely better. Not to say anything bad about any of these games, but the ones moving on from this point forward are actually some that make me think, like, a lot. There was some definite ones that made me sweat some bullets there. So anyway, that'll do it for this game. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, you are more than welcome to leave a like rating, comment, subscribe, do your thing, and that'll do it for this one. I will see you guys later.